MSW Media.
News with swearing. Daily beans, daily beans. Daily beans, daily beans.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Beans for Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Today, Pamela Jo Bondi says the Department of Justice will release the files, but only certain ones. Prosecutors in the Comey case admit in court that the grand jury didn't vote on his indictment. Trump says he's going to start dismantling the Department of Education. A federal judge has denied to block the release of hundreds of detainees at the Broadview ICE facility in Chicago. A new Marist poll shows voters favor Democrats by double digits. Larry Summers is stepping down from OpenAI as a board member after the latest Epstein file dump. The FBI trainee that was fired for displaying a pride flag is suing the government. And the Maine Human Rights Commission sues 5 schools over anti-trans policies. I'm Allison Gill.
And I'm Dana Goldberg.
Hello, Thursday. We're chugging along.
We are chugging along. We've got some good news, some fucked up news, some middle of the road news, and we've got it all for you today. Just everything you could possibly want, it's coming at you.
Yes, anything on your news plate, including some distraction news, but that's also very terrible for people because that's how Donald Trump tries to distract from the Epstein files.
True.
By being terrible to people and especially children whenever he can. I think it's written like on his motivational, what are those vision boards? I think he has a vision board that says hurt children today to distract from Epstein files.
That sounds right. Yeah. If he doesn't, Steve Miller does for sure. He actually has probably voodoo dolls of children. He just sticks pins in from time to time.
That fucking guy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But to lighten the mood a little bit later in the show, I'm going to be speaking with Greg Proops. And he's got a new album out called The Free State of California. You can get it at gregproops.com. And as you know him probably from Whose Line Is It Anyway or from his comedy.
He's fabulous.
He has a podcast called The Smartest Man in the World, and I agree. He's so smart. It's sometimes his references just right over my head, and I'm like, what? But I'm excited to speak with him, so we look forward to that interview.
Wonderful. And as you said in the top of the hour, Trump is trying to distract us, which he always does. Right after the Epstein file bill passed, the Trump administration announced an aggressive plan to continue dismantling the education department, ending the agency's broad role in supporting academics at elementary and high schools and in expanding access to college because he likes people who are uneducated. Those responsibilities, by the way, which has been overseen by the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Office of Post-Secondary Education, will instead be largely taken over by the Labor Department.
The Labor Department?
I don't even understand.
I mean, I know he had announced several times, and they put it in Project 2025, that they were going to dismantle the Department of Education and move the jobs that they have to do under law to other agencies, which violates the law. But, that's never stopped him before. But the Labor Department? I don't know. Awful and horrible. Like I said, what can I do today to hurt children to distract from the Epstein files?
That's it.
All right, everybody, we have a lot of news to get to, so let's hit the hot notes. Hot notes. All right, first up, holy shirt balls. Actually, this is our podcast. I can say holy motherfucking shit balls if I want to.
Yes, you can.
Justice Department lawyers acknowledged Wednesday in a hearing that a full grand jury never heard the final indictment against former FBI Director Jim Comey, a remarkable admission that could threaten the viability of the case. That's to put it lightly. Washington Post. The revelation came during a court hearing in which U.S. District Judge Michael Nachmanoff he quizzed prosecutors over what appeared to be a missing portion of the transcripts and tapes of the grand jury. Remember when I said 139 minutes was missing? Turns out there's a reason. The grand jurors had rejected an early version of an indictment, the first version, charging Comey with 3 counts. Hours later, the grand jury foreperson signed off on a 2-count indictment, charging Comey with making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. The foreperson said at the time that a majority of the panel had approved those 2 counts. So he signed it. The grand jury had been dismissed. So she brought in this new 2-count indictment. The foreperson signed it while a second juror watched. I don't
either.
That sounds dirty. All right. The grand jurors in this case, I mean, what could they possibly be thinking? Like maybe the whole grand jury left and was like, all right, cool, we didn't indict him. Bye. We don't know. And that's a huge problem. Prosecutors acknowledged Wednesday they revised the indictment to delete the rejected count. But in a remarkable concession, they told Nachmanoff, that they never presented that revised indictment to the full grand jury for approval. Instead, they said they had the foreperson sign the new version before presenting it to a judge, while a deputy foreperson was also in the room. So remember the Greyhound watched?
Yep. This is exactly what this is.
What the fuck? This is how they add flavors to LaCroix, right? Just by having fruit in the room. This is how this happened. So that means, quote, there is no indictment that Mr. Comey is facing. That's what defense lawyer Michael Dreeben has said. Dreeben, by the way, dynamo attorney. He has argued before the Supreme Court in like at least 100 cases. He also worked on Jack Smith's team. The assistant U.S. attorney, N. Taylor Lemons, that's one that they had to bring up from another state because no one in the Eastern District of Virginia would touch this with a 10-foot pole. Lemons sought to downplay the error, arguing that the revised indictment was changed only to remove the count the grand jury rejected. The new indictment wasn't a new indictment, he said. Oh my God, yes it was. Nachmanoff, said little during the 2-hour hearing on Wednesday about how he viewed the significance of this just massive fuck up. The hearing had been called to consider Comey's arguments that the case should be dismissed on the grounds that he is being prosecuted because of vindictive and selective prosecution. The judge also did not immediately rule on that vindictive prosecution motion, saying that the issues were too weighty and too complex for a quick decision, which I love because the longer it takes, the more shit we can find out that this fucked up DOJ tried to do. So yeah, drag out the pain. Comey's attorneys have already signaled they intend to file a separate challenge to the case based on these grand jury irregularities. Throughout the proceedings, Nachmanoff quizzed Lemons about the earlier decision by a former U.S. attorney, Eric Siebert, not to pursue charges against Comey. The judge asked Lemons whether the prosecutors under Siebert had written a formal declination memo, laying out the reasons for not seeking an indictment. Lemons initially demurred, telling the judge, I don't know the whole world of documents that exist. But Nachmanoff pressed him, you are counsel of record on this case. When you became counsel of record in this case, did you seek out a declination memo? Lemons said he was trying to answer the court's question. He danced around this for a while, but eventually he said he was constrained because the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche's office, directed him not to reveal whether such a memo even exists. While the Justice Department studies whether privilege issues applied. Legal privileges might give the Justice Department grounds to not disclose the document, work product privilege, for example, or deliberative process privilege. Those are the two privileges that Bill Barr tried to argue to keep his declination memo, declining to charge Trump for obstruction of justice in the Mueller investigation, out of the public eye. He lost that battle in court, and Judge Beryl Howell ordered it revealed. That's how come I know about it. Two people familiar with the memo have told the Washington Post that it does exist, but they spoke on the condition of anonymity. This is banana pants, Dana.
The whole
this
thing.
whole thing is, I can't believe that someone who has appeared on South Beach Tow, like Lindsay Halligan, doesn't have the, I don't know, consummate experience.
I'm shocked.
To know how grand juries work.
I'm shocked.
I thought South Beach Tow gave you really good insight into how to, carry yourself in grand jury proceedings. Who knew?
I feel like I've seen enough like SVU and like Law and Order that I could probably do a better job in this case.
They rejected the thing. She sent him home and then she rewrote it and brought it to the jury foreman, had somebody watch while he signed it. And then she altered the original indictment by writing on it, except for count one.
Unbelievable.
That's
I love this, by the way.
Of government documents.
My mom listens to the podcast, and obviously we text and stuff before, and sometimes, you and I get something while we're recording. And I was finishing up a conversation, and my mom said, have fun with the beans. And then she said, the DOJ screwed up with Comey.
Yeah, Mom.
And I said, Allison's reading that story right now, and she said, incompetence. I love her so much.
High five, Mom. High five. You're so right.
All right. She's a keeper. Okay. This one's also from the Post. For the past week, official Washington has talked constantly about the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, except for the agency that has custody of the Epstein files. The Department of Justice has been silent. On Tuesday, the House and the Senate agreed to pass a bill calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all unclassified information and files related to the sprawling sex trafficking investigation into the one-time powerful financier. And now he's not a power.
There they go with their financier shit again.
I can't it to stop it. Now a one-time powerful financier. He was also probably one-time good kid that wasn't doing fucked up things in the world. Can we just not?
Hitler painted trees.
Yeah, he was an artist. Okay, the Justice Department so far has continued to say little about how it would respond to that demand. There are many reasons to doubt that a bulk release of the files is imminent. That's going to happen anytime soon. On Wednesday, Bondi broke the official silence, but only slightly. At a news conference on an unrelated issue, she parried repeated questions about the Epstein files, saying, and I quote, "We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims." Fuck. We don't give a shit about the victims.
Parried is a nice way of saying danced the fuck around.
Yeah.
That's like I think what they're referring to here is a parry in fencing, like parry thrust. But that's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. There's a lot of nice ways of saying the things that they're doing. But by the way, we've talked about this before. If Trump really wanted Bondi to release all the Epstein files, he could have just ordered her to do that. At any point in the past 6 months, he didn't.
Isn't that what the journalist was asking? Why, you've been able to release these the whole time when he called her a piggy?
Yeah. There's so many things in those emails that were released. Man, the damning information. Bannon, I hope to God we get the House back and stop some of this, because Bannon needs to be behind bars for things that he cannot be pardoned for.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, that guy should be under a jail as far as I'm concerned. A walking canker sore.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard it was for him to only wear one shirt at a time when he was in prison.
He must have been freezing.
Has anybody asked him? I don't know.
Maybe it kept the smell. Yeah.
All right. Next, riding a wave of recent election victories. This is from PBS. Democrats have another reason to hope for a repeat performance in next year's midterms. According to a new PBS NPR Marist poll, this is an A+ poll, a majority of voters said they would rather elect a Democrat. If the midterm were held today, they would prefer the Democratic candidates. Now, remember, we talked about the general ballot last month here on the Beans when the Democrats were up 9 points, which was the highest it's been since 2023. So keep that in mind as I tell you what this number is. The poll found that registered voters, if they were choosing today, 55% would elect a Democratic candidate to represent them in Congress, while 41% would vote for a Republican. That's a 14-point advantage. It is the largest since November 2017, a year before we swept the elections in 2018. We got more than 40 seats in the House alone during that election.
Let's fucking go.
So 2 seats here in Indiana, 1 seat here, and like, fuck you. Yeah, let's fucking go is right. Independent voters in this poll say they would select a Democrat over Republican by a 2-to-1 margin. 2-to-1. So given a list of issues, a majority of Americans, 57%, think that lowering prices should be the top priority of the White House. Majorities of Democrats and independents, as well as a plurality of Republicans, held that view in the latest poll. Controlling immigration, a major focus on Trump's second term, came a distant second in the public's list of presidential priorities, 41 points behind number 1. So 16% immigration, 57% affordability.
Wow. That's crazy. Those numbers are nuts.
Yeah. And to be clear, that 16% that are for immigration, that is to make it tougher. It's not like only 16% are worried about mass deportation and what Trump is doing wrong. They want the border to be secure. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Allison. All right, this one's from WBBM. A federal judge has denied a request from the Trump administration to delay releasing hundreds of people detained during Operation Midway Blitz. 442 people arrested without warrants could be released as soon as Friday under U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Cummings' order. The Justice Department still has an appeal in the case that ordered ICE to put 615 people arrested by federal immigration agents into detention alternatives or be released on bond. Meanwhile, the number of people being held at the ICE processing center in Broadview has dropped significantly since a different judge ordered the federal government to improve conditions at the facility. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Government lawyers said in court that only 4 people were held there as of Tuesday morning. All the pressure, all the pushback, everything is working. And they may not be working fast enough, but it's fucking working.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, the courts, he doesn't listen to the laws. This is an example of where they do, and it's important. All right, from the Times, Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, will step down from the board of the artificial intelligence startup OpenAI. He and the company said this on Wednesday after Congress released emails last weekend. It showed Mr. Summers had regularly corresponded, with, again, disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, sex trafficker, rapist, child rapist, maybe. Yeah. Throw that in there. Quote, in line with my announcement to step away from my public commitments, I've also decided to resign from the board of OpenAI. That's what he said. He's 70 years old. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served, excited about the potential of the company, look forward to following their progress. It's interesting. They always put their age in there, right? In a statement, OpenAI's board of directors confirmed Mr. Summers' resignation. We appreciate his many contributions and the perspective he brought to the board. Mr. Summers' exit from OpenAI is part of the widening fallout of those who were in the orbit of Mr. Epstein, who authorities said killed himself in prison in 2019 while awaiting trial for sex trafficking charges. President Trump and the filmmaker Woody Allen were among those mentioned in the more than 20,000 Epstein estate emails made public by lawmakers this month. And let me just say, Trump was the most mentioned. And if these numbers are off the top of my head, so correct me if I'm wrong, out of the 2,423 emails, 1,623 included Trump, 72%.
Yep. That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And this was from WGME in Portland, Maine. The Maine Human Rights Commission is suing 5 school districts that ban transgender students from playing sports and using bathrooms for the gender they identify with. That's according to our media partners at the Bangor Daily News. The commission claims these districts violated state law. The lawsuit asks the judge to order these districts to repeal what the commission says are discriminatory policies, all of which passed when the White House began pressuring Maine last year to ban transgender athletes from girls' sports. And with a little bit of a shift, but related, this is from the Times, David Maltinsky, an FBI agent in training, had only a dim suspicion of what was going on when he was suddenly pulled from his classmates one evening last month and called to a meeting with top officials at the academy where he was only 3 weeks away from graduating. He happens to be a gay man who had previously worked as a civilian cybertech assistant in the Los Angeles field office. Mr. Maltinsky knew that the meeting might have something to do with his sexual orientation. Or I don't understand why people would say sexual identity. It's annoying. Okay. Or with his wide-ranging efforts to the Bureau to promote LGBTQ issues. You know everyone's following. What he did not expect was a letter he was handed when he arrived at the FBI Academy's front office. It was signed by the Bureau's director, Kash Patel. It was signed by fucking Kash Patel. And he announced that he was being summarily dismissed from the Academy because of political signage. I want you to remember that when I tell you what this was. Because he had once displayed as his workspace in Los Angeles. Now, the only thing that could have been that he quickly realized was a rainbow pride flag that had hung near his desk for years, and had been given to him as a gift by his former bosses. Well, on Wednesday, Mr. Maltinsky filed a lawsuit against Mr. Patel and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, claiming that his firing was illegal and asking a federal judge to reinstate him at the Academy, where he had been pursuing his lifelong dream of becoming a federal agent. I know. He and his lawyers described his dismissal as the latest move by senior FBI officials to play politics with internal personnel moves in a way that had not only damaged morale inside the Bureau, but had also hindered its ability to carry out its public safety mission. And this is a quote, "Clearly, this was not about who I am, but what I am, and with what I represent." That was Mr. Maltinsky. He said that in a recent interview. He said it's about trying to stoke fear in the workplace, especially in the queer community at the FBI, that has nothing to do with protecting the American people. In fact, I would say people that happen to be queer in the FBI probably are protecting more of the American people than any fucking homophobes that happen to have an FBI badge who have a problem with the fact that there's a pride flag sitting on his desk.
That was given to him by his bosses.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Kash Patel, he's such a douche.
I hope that this case, these cases take a really long time, and I hope this case comes to fruition maybe in 2029 or 2030 when we have a Democratic president in the White House and a maybe an awesome sort of Jack Smith, maybe Attorney General that's willing to make these settlements happen for these wrongfully terminated people. Thank you so much for that story. That's better news. I'm glad he's fighting back. And we're going to talk to Greg Proops, but we have to take a quick break. We're also going to have the good news after that. You can send good news to us, dailybeanspod.com, and click on contact. And later on, if you're a patron, we will have the video sent out to you for the Beans Talk, which is our new video pod that's going to launch to the public on December 1st. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back with Greg Proops.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, as the days get colder, I turn my bedroom into a recharge zone with my heavier blankets, my warmer lighting, and the same Helix mattress that I've trusted for years. Before Helix, sleep was a mess. I ran hot, I woke up stiff through my lower back, my hamstrings were awful, my hips hurt. Any small movement would shock me full awake. And since switching to Helix, though, I sleep cooler, I feel properly supported, I wake up every morning clear-headed and ready to take on the day. Holiday hosting is around the corner, and it is also peak cold and flu season, and sleep is your best defense. It's the simplest way to protect yourself and your immune system. If you've been considering an upgrade, this is the time to take care of yourself while you shop for everyone else. Helix keeps the process straightforward. The Helix Sleep Quiz matches you to the right field based on how you sleep, so there's no guesswork. Shipping is free in the United States, and the setup is easy and quick. You also get a 120-night sleep trial in your home, a limited lifetime warranty, and the Happy with Helix guarantee for easy exchanges and returns. There is no risk here. And it helps that Helix is the most awarded mattress brand. They have experts and outlets, including Forbes and Wired magazine, putting it through its paces. I've used Helix for years. It remains a clear upgrade from the hot, sagging mattress that it replaced. Cooler nights, balanced support, better mornings. That's what Helix has done for me. So go to helixsleep.com/dailybeans for 27% off site-wide. This is an exclusive for Daily Beans listeners. helixsleep.com/dailybeans for 20% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name in the post-purchase survey so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/dailybeans. Hey, everybody. I am so excited today. I get to talk to one of my best friends. He hosts The Funniest Man in the World. No, The Smartest Man in the World. He's just in my head the funniest man in the world, but podcast is called The Smartest Man in the World. He also has a film club, and he's an actor, an activist, a comedian, an improver extraordinary. Now he's a new comedy album out called The Free State of California. Please welcome my friend Greg Proops. Hi, Gregory. Gregory.
Hi, G. How are you, darling?
I am, well, talking to you in this space, compartmentalized from the rest of the world, I'm awesome. But,
right.
but if we gesture broadly,
so hard.
Talk about everything else. Things are bad. There was a new video put out today by members of Congress telling the military that they don't have to follow unlawful orders. And I never thought I would live in an America where members of Congress, where a co-equal branch of government has to tell the military not to follow unlawful orders. It's a scary, scary time.
No, you're Navy. You were Navy, right?
Yeah, for a minute under Clinton. So we just read books. But yes, yeah.
Well, I know you're a veteran. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's astonishing. But I mean, on the other hand, this has been a really awful week for them. And the optics haven't improved at all. And the Texas gerrymandering thing got voted down. Indiana decided to bail on theirs. And Virginia's going to get some extra seats. So when we have an election, and yes, we are going to have one, they're not going to stop it. I think they're going to get wiped out. And also, look at him this week. He's punching, King Bonesaw and whatnot in the arm yesterday and calling women piggies. And it's just not, I don't think it's a big PR win this week. Now, mind you, I'm in Alabama, where I'm sure half the population here is thrilled beyond measure that they're getting exactly what they wanted. But on the other hand, I think it's not going. Also, look at him, sweetie. He's dragging. I mean, this pig's going to go quiet real soon.
Yeah. And, we had a new poll come out. PBS just released the results. The general ballot, if the midterms were today, the Republicans are down 14 points, and they haven't been down that far in double digits since 2017, right before we had the massive blue wave where we got 40 seats back at least.
Yeah.
So it's a bad PR week. There was just a Comey hearing in his case where they found out that Lindsey Halligan is even a bigger fuck up than we previously thought. It's going bad for them. And he's kind of acting like a cornered, dying ferret. No shade to ferrets. But
he totally is. He's grumpy and out of sorts, and nothing is work. None of the old. He only has like the 3 songs. You know what I mean? He only has 3 songs that he goes over and over and over and over, the same songs. And he's already done the Biden song. We've heard it, and the Hillary song is so old. And then what was it this week? The Democrats are the ones who are involved with Epstein, and it's like that song doesn't even get on the charts. Even the lamest person on earth, the smallest possum down here in Alabama knows that ain't happening. And you can blame the Democrats all you want for Epstein, but honey bear, it's a rich dude thing. What can I say? And I'd like to think, Allison, because I like to think the best of people, even though I'm a comedian, that people are tired of the abuse and the pedophilia. It's not seemly. And I think deep down inside, people know that it's an awful thing and that they've made a terrible mistake. Having said that, white people still vote overwhelmingly for Nazism.
Yeah. Though it's come into their backyards, right? And that's kind of what it takes in certain circumstances, is for people to be negatively impacted. And I think that's why we saw the huge sweeps this couple Tuesdays ago. And Trump is out there with his invisible accordion talking, don't talk to me about affordability. Everything's fantastic. Why are you talking about Epstein? Quiet, piggy. Let's talk about how great everything is, even though it's completely ungreat. It's desperation. It's desperation. And, when we talk about these like burgeoning autocracies, they get in, they try to consolidate power as quickly as they can. And he's doing it as fast as he can. But he keeps losing. He keeps losing court cases where he can't deploy the National Guard under 12406. He I assume, is going to try to invoke the Insurrection Act to try to take it that route. But, and we might find out this week what the Supreme Court thinks of his deployment of the National Guard, because it's coming up for Chicago's case. It's fully briefed by November 17th. So we'll see what happens there. But you travel around, you travel to a lot of different places. And I imagine your audience is probably a little, more to the left. Your brand new comedy record, which is gold, by the way, it's called The Free State of California, was taped live in San Francisco. And we know that's a hellscape of woke Marxist war zone inflatable animals.
It's a swirling vortex of baby killing.
Yeah.
And homosexuality. Yeah.
But what's it like when you go out, and maybe not necessarily at your shows, because we know where those folks' bread is buttered, but like when you're out getting coffee, walking among the people, do you see any difference between now and maybe, his first term with regard to support, or do you see anything like that? Or is it kind of indistinguishable from how it's always been?
No, I think it's changed. I mean, I go to every single state. Our group plays the only state we haven't played is Wyoming, and I think we're playing it next August. And our crowd is white, largely white. And so therefore, there's a very good chance that, especially with the men in the crowd, over 50% of them are voted for him. So I judge by the Trump jokes we do and the political jokes we do, whether the crowd is with it or not. Obviously, we play a lot of cities. And what a lot of, I think, coasties don't understand, and liberals in general, is that almost all cities are blue. Like, you could be in the middle of Alabama, wherever, Georgia, and cities tend to be blue. It's once you get out of the city that everybody gets a little crazy. And then we're shooting road signs with meth bullets. And but having said that, the other night I did a joke in Atlanta, in Buckhead, which is a very wealthy place. So wealthy white people scream Republican. I said, you can say whatever you like, because up until January, this used to be a free country. And that one gets a huge howl if we're in a, very blue place. And it got a big howl. And then the conservatives tend not to boo at the improv show. They go quiet and they're sad for a second because they know you've got them. And then they move on. They actually do that white people thing of pretending it didn't happen, but we're sad. And then we move on to the next thing. I haven't seen nearly as many Trump signs as I did the first term. And the place where I think you really see that jazz isn't the Deep South, where I am now, and where I love, by the way, that food here. Oh, my God. Is rural Pennsylvania, rural Ohio, places like that. That's where you see a lot of the thin blue line flags, a lot of Confederate flags, the northeastern and the Midwestern states. And then if you get, like, we also go up to North Dakota, South Dakota in there, and that place is wowzers. It's more conservative than you could possibly imagine. And a long way to answer your question, it's gradually shifting. It's really hard to move white people off the things they believe and the things they're shown. A lot of them live in information deserts, as you know, and a lot of them are just contrarian and don't ever want anything to be better or changed.
But they also live in food deserts and healthcare deserts. And when things go wrong, it impacts them and they recognize it. And when you have, even for like low information voters, and I don't mean that as an insult, I just mean people who don't pay attention to the news like you and I, or folks who listen to this podcast, you can't lie your way out of somebody's pocketbook, right? You can't. If your local rural hospital is closed down, your Medicare has gone away, even if it's called something else like Obamacare or something, you notice that. And when you realize that it's the White House and both houses of Congress are controlled by the Republican Party, then you can put two and two together, generally speaking. And I think that's why they have their negative double digits now on the general ballot. But I remember when you were in San Diego, which is a pretty purple city, tends to lean a little bit blue. But there was an improv bit where you brought some people up from the audience, and one girl's job was to hit play on her Spotify. And you were or one of the actors is going to hit play on the Spotify, and she has to start singing whatever song it is that comes up. And the song she chose was Fuck Donald Trump. And the whole crowd went wild. And I was like, all right. Because I know that your comedy audience, like the people who came, bought tickets to see you for this new comedy album that you're doing. Again, Free State of California. It's incredible. You sent it to me. I immediately listened to it. I died laughing. And I've come back to life. I'm Lazarus. But, that crowd's a little politically different than the crowd that comes to see Whose Line, right? So it's really, really interesting to kind of weigh those two things. And I'm glad to hear that you're seeing a little bit of a shift, at least with regard to the Trump jokes when it comes to Whose Line. All I know is we were hooping and hollering and standing on our feet when that girl fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, fuck Donald. And we were just, woo. That was a really pretty special night. Thank you for inviting us to that show, by the way. I was rolling like 5 deep with my entourage that night.
I know, you had everybody on that one.
To go see Whose Line. So talk a little bit about the new album. First of all, the title and then the track, Free State of California, both hilarious. But in it, you do a lot of political comparisons to different regions of the country, which stood out to me because I'm originally a Midwesterner, though I now live in the Free State of California. I mean, some of the observations that you make, I think, are very timely and also prescient. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I make a living out of, especially in stand-up. I'm so provincial, and I'm from San Francisco, and there's so many Bay Area references on the album, every single album that I do, that sometimes I get confused over what I'm talking about. I'll make a joke about Antioch, and you'll hear the crowd laugh, and I think no one outside of the Bay Area has any idea why they're laughing at a Fremont joke or a Foster City joke.
We can figure it out.
So, I really, really leaned into Ohio, Wisconsin on this last album, although I've hit the South before. What I always said about the South on a previous album was the South never lied to you. The South never said, hey, everybody's welcome. We got a gay pride flag waving. Come on down. The South is the South. It's the other states that lie to you and go, oh, no, we're cool. Everybody's welcome. And then you get there and you're like, not so much. I mean, you go to the north of Michigan or the north of Wisconsin and it's there's a
you talked about the Yoopers,
right?
We have tons of Yoopers that listen to this show. And so it's always a mix. And, like you said, because I think Tommy Lahren, that Nazi Barbie, had put out some sort of a tweet saying, there's going to be a mass exodus from the Marxist cities and the communist cities to the big, beautiful red cities. And I started to think, like, I put out a thing. I was like, can anybody name a big red city? Give me a city that has more than 250,000 people. I think there's like 4, like Oklahoma City. Yeah. But Oklahoma like some City, of them have actually flipped, like Omaha went blue this last election. It's really a hard exercise. And people were like trying to, get down into the weeds to figure it out. I'm like, it's not, you don't really have to tell me. It's just kind of a thought exercise. I want you to go, that's kind of what, right. I don't really need an answer, but it's true. So wherever you end up, particularly in cities that happen to have theaters, it's going to be more blue because that's who lives there.
No question. Like I said, where people have vendettas against waterfowl or, epic generational anger against deer and whatnot, those are the places where it gets a little freaky out there. Like I said, almost every city is fairly blue, especially if you've got an opera house and a concert hall and an art gallery. Once you start introducing culture and mixing things, the thing about the South that I really enjoy is black people and white people go to the same things and you see them and you interact with them. Whereas in California, our beautiful state, which is my favorite state, we're a little more segregated. It's, activities are segregated in California. You really don't see black and white people going to the same shows as much or eating in the same restaurants all the time. Is our state more liberal? Oh, hell yes. But there's that going on.
Well, I think there's also a bigger wealth gap here in California. When you think about, when we talk about rather left or versus right, we talk about top versus bottom. We've got some of the richest people in the world in New York, California, San Francisco, particularly. Yeah. And so I think that kind of lends to it. And then, the generational quashing of certain marginalized people makes that a sad reality about the current picture of certain places where the wealth gap might be larger than, say, in Ohio. Well,
all those predictions, like, tell me, Lauren, what did you call her? Bump stock Barbie? That's
better than
all those predictions that the conservative pundits make are inevitably and almost inexorably untrue because they haven't any notion of there's no reality ever informing any of their opinions. The whole thing is kind of a fantasy. He's a fantasy. Like you said at the beginning, affordability and prices are going down and the economy is great. None of those things are true and everybody knows it. It's a matter of whether you're willing to suspend disbelief and, go along with this thing. No one is moving to big, beautiful red cities except for all the douchebag podcasters who moved to Texas, to Austin, to be near Joe Rogan. And if you go there, then that main drag where his club is on, it smells like sick. And it's a, really touristy cornball kind of bar saloon scene in that area. And I've watched Austin go from a kind of a cute, small alternative town into this completely overbuilt, overblown corporate
strip mall corporate.
Yeah, it's just, it's lost almost all of its, mind you, I could say the same thing about Raleigh or Nashville or Memphis or all the cities I've been going to Phoenix for 100 years. They used to be smaller. They used to be more collegial and small towny.
We got the best shows in Phoenix at Mesa Amphitheater. It was $20. We could see New Order. We could see The Cure. We could see The Smiths. We could see, Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, $20 a piece. And the shirt was $20. You got in and out for $40. Whatever your acid was, that was extra. And your clove cigarettes, of course, were another $4 a pack. But it was a $30 night. It's what I'm saying.
There's no more $30
and
nights.
It's very different now. It's gleaming. It's like trying to be Dallas-Fort Worth. But you're right. It's a fantasy. Like my friend Dana and I, who co-host this show, we always talk about how being a trad wife is actually, that's kink. I'm sorry to tell you, but that is kink. That is a kink lifestyle, being a trad wife. And, the other problem that you touched on is everything is so binary, especially for our corporate media. I remember when the Charlie Kirk shooting happened, that school shooting, and the news and everybody was desperate. Was the shooter a Republican or a Democrat? And it's like, there are Republicans who think that there's people to the right of Charlie Kirk. Like this, like gender, this exists. It's a fluid thing. It exists on a spectrum. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And it seemed like everybody was so desperate to put this person in a specific box. The same with the person who tried to shoot Donald Trump on his golf course. Everyone's like, or the guy at who took out the volunteer firefighter in the other attempt. It's like everybody wants to put people in, it's black and white, it's histrionic. And I think that we need to get away from that kind of frame of mind. And I feel like the underpinnings of your jokes sort of, yes, there's this versus that and this versus that. But I think what I come away with is that it's not as black and white as we've been led to believe by corporate media.
No, it isn't. Life's complex and politics are complex. And like you said, gender's complex and there's no easy answers. But that's impossible for the media to get their mind around or to sell because they don't like complicated ideas because they require discussion and thought and lateral thinking and
nuance and context
and being able to hold abstractions in your mind. And what they want is doublethink, the Orwellian thing of being able to hold two contradictory ideas simultaneously and believe them both. The economy's doing really well, and he's a great president. Now, those are contradictory ideas. They don't make any sense. They're not even true. And yet lots of people will believe them, and that's what we're being sold on a constant basis. And I think people are capable of way more nuance than that. Again, like you and I was talking to someone yesterday as well, and we're in for what do you want to call it, the chattering class, the social media class. We follow every bloody news story. We follow everybody's social media site. We listen to politics all day. Oh my God, there's a cat. Careful, you're going to be attacked.
Oh, his food bowl must be only half full, which is why.
I was going to say that I'm getting a feeling that someone has neglected Tabby.
Oh, they're so neglected. They're very, very sad, neglected.
They're not that fat though, so they're not overfed. Yeah, so I agree with you. Like they really want a binary thing. And then, yesterday, for instance, how complex was it that they gave a marching band and a flyover to the dictator of a terrible monarchy that doesn't allow homosexuality or women to drive.
He dismembered a journalist.
And we know for a fact, because our intelligence agencies told us, that MBS was absolutely involved in the bonesaw killing of the reporter who was investigating Jared Kushner's involvement in graft in the Middle East. So that, we were presented with it. It was supposed to be this glorious moment of, international diplomacy, when really it was a kind of a horrible, why are we even letting it? When Mary Bruce asked the question, what about the people from 9/11? Yeah. And then, the Great Pumpkin lost his mind and started screaming and his usual thing. And then MBS said that horrible thing about, I feel very painful about it. And then, but.
We need to live in reality.
Right? When the word but joins into the conversation when you're making an excuse, and he wasn't even making an excuse. He was simply lying and saying that he felt pain for the people from 9/11. Now, mind you, we've always sold arms to the Saudis, as well as having, Oman and Qatar and Dubai and whatnot, especially the Emirates, I think, as our banking states. And they don't have any politics. They absolutely take money from anybody. It's not like they sit around discussing what's right and what's wrong all day. That's not really an issue.
No, the Qatar Investment Authority bailed out Kushner's dad in that 666 Fifth Avenue Devil building. The Saudi Wealth Fund backed Kushner's hedge fund, private equity, whatever investment authority thing for $2 billion. And, we've had Donald Trump mock our intelligence community in front of a dictator before. He did it in Helsinki in 2018. And everybody was like,
And now we know that there was that Epstein email that was just preceded that, where Epstein was actually in contact with the Russians saying, and what do you want me to do about him? I can handle him. And then the week later, Helsinki and him up there diminishing our intelligence agencies. By the way, which Hillary said 16 different intelligence agencies have said that the Russians are on his side. And of course, no one listened to her because women's high peeping voices tend to make men's man bag shrink up into a small silver ball.
Yeah. She said something on the internet and his dick fell off is one of my favorite memes. Good old Star Trek. Well, my friend, I really want to encourage everybody to listen to this new album. I was dying laughing. It's a really nice respite, although there are, fundamental truths that need to be told, that you can't get up on stage. And by the way, the timing of this album, tell everybody when you recorded this.
I recorded it right after the election last year, New Year's last. And so it was 3 weeks before it all went to, hell in a hell basket. And I believe I say at the beginning of the album.
And you were like, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. And then you proceeded to talk about it.
Yeah. But also, I brought up the idea that we've had insane megalomaniac, maniacal right-wing Nazi racist presidents almost strictly. That this isn't new. It's just worse in its own way. Reagan, Nixon, pretty much every president, except for maybe 4 or 5 in the history of the country, has been a right-wing maniac. So it's kind of, and if you're, say, like not a white person, I'm not certain that this is any different for you than most presidents are, as far as being stopped, seized, hassled, destroyed, have your community rankled and interfered with by armed forces and whatnot. So the good part is, and it was a line I used on an album a couple of albums ago, things are getting so bad that white people are noticing. And that's what it takes. It takes white people to notice. You notice that the air traffic thing has been slightly resolved since it inconvenienced rich people. When we reached the rich people were inconvenienced point, it kind of bounced right back to. Also, I would say another thing that should give everyone hope.
I was actually at the airport recently before the shutdown, and I was looking around, and I was like, this is reminds me of the DMV. It's the great equalizer. Unless you're on a private jet, everybody's got to go through this line, right?
Yeah. And it was even the private jet people, I think, were starting to feel the squunch because they have to have air traffic controllers, too. When everybody's affected by it, I think it starts to make people think a little more about their situation. And also, Pete Hesketh, Kristi Noem, Bovino, these aren't the best and the brightest. These are literally people you would find in a car park, and they're sort of like petty criminals who've been given jobs that are way above their pay grade. So the idea that they're going to efficiently and awesomely tackle each issue as it comes up and really make some bold moves isn't really materializing.
They've won the power lottery. I constantly read stories of regular folks who win a lottery and are crushed by the impact of that. They can't manage the money. They aren't sure what to do. Everybody comes out of the woodwork looking for stuff. Here we've got the same thing, but they've won the power lottery. And it's very dangerous for the rest of us. And it's in our hands. And we have the power. It's a little more limited than a pure democracy because we aren't one person, one vote. But it is in our hands. It is our government. And I think that we can even not just kick out the Nazis, but cull some of the more donor class centrists from our own party. And I think we're going to see that in spades in the primaries and in the midterms come this year. So I am hopeful, but only mostly because there's really nowhere to go but up. It's always darkest before the dawn.
Listen, my parents went through the Depression and World War II. My wife's parents were Vietnam parents. I'm old, and I was a little kid in the 60s. And what no one will ever tell you, of course, is that there was a civil war in this country through the 60s. The young versus old, black versus white, women versus men. And there was mad violence in the streets and mass assassination, hijacking, terrorism. Like I said, we just showed Network on our film club a couple of weeks ago, and the crowd sat there stunned. And these are, Hollywood people. We show in Hollywood. The idea that a movie from 50 years ago, from 1975, has a television network that's hired a terrorist group that kidnaps and shoots people on TV as part of their entertainment, and that the news has been reduced to tabloid, legal battles, celebrity gossip, and a mad person giving a rant at the end of every episode, falling down and passing out, is what the television news is in the movie network. And everyone sat there like this. And it was like that. That's how we saw ourselves in 1975. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it to be depressing. I'm saying it has to give you hope, because I'm not sure who said it, maybe John Lewis, but I mean, the same fight has to be fought over and over again. And there's just no way around it. Our parents fought it. Our grandparents fought it. We as artists or whatever have to remember that there was art during World War II, during World War I, when everyone thought the world was going to end 1,000 times, the world was going to end. And you have to carry on being creative, and you have to carry on having a sense of self and feeling joy. Like I was talking to George Hahn the other day, and he said something that Joan Rivers said: a joke's a vacation, and everybody needs a little vacation, and feeling joy and feeling your own creativity or going to see other people's art or whatever is an act of defiance in a world like this. Because look at their misery. I mean, when you see Bovino throwing the Nazi salute, and he's so small, and he's in a little military onesie, and he's screaming into the mic and everything, it's not going to end well for him. No one's going to elevate him to some giant position in the world. It's just not going to happen. And don't go, I mean, people go, oh my God, what about when the Great Pumpkin dies? Vance will be worse. No, he won't. Vance has no following. No one loves the couch pig. And the billionaires are going to go at each other like wolverines at a yard sale. I mean, it's going to be bad. If you think all the billionaires are going to hold hands together and go, God, we should really, it's not like in the movies where they all split up the world and they all sit in a room with those green lampshades over them. I mean, you see them. You saw them last night at the dinner. Musk can't even wear proper shoes to a formal. I mean, we're not talking about really accomplished people who know what they're doing. We're talking about,
and RFK Jr.'s doing DMT. Oh my God, that explains so much. Well, like I think Henry Rollins said, it's punk rock time. This is what Joe Strummer trained you for. And that's true for all art, no matter what your art is. So thank you for continuing to make the art. Tell everybody, shamelessly promote yourself. Tell everybody where you're going to be, what you're doing, and where they can find the free state of California.
All right, I will, AG. GregProops.com is where you can find all the stuff. The Smartest Man in the World podcast, which I do with my wife, Jennifer, the Greg Proops Film Club. We're showing on the 21st, Ninotchka. I don't know if you know that movie. It's a Greta Garbo comedy from the 30s by a brilliant director named Ernst Lubitsch. She's a Russian who comes to America with her commie friends, and America's capitalism is so awesome that they're completely overwhelmed and lose their ideology of world domination. Yeah, so that's why my wife chose that one. In any case, that's there too. And then I'm on the road with Who's Live. We're in, where are we tonight? We're in Birmingham, and then we go to Mobile tomorrow, and then New Orleans, and then we're in California in December. And then we pick it up again next year. I'll be at the Punchline New Year's Eve, the 30th and 31st in San Francisco with Jaya Lakshmirian and Jackie Cation, who you should have on your show because she's awesome. And
I love Jackie.
The album is available at gregproops.com, and all my previous albums, which were all recorded, improvised in San Francisco. When I say improvised, I have an idea of what I'm going to do. Over the 4 shows, I work out all the jokes, but I really am doing it off the top of my head. One, because I don't do clubs as much as I used to, so I don't really work on the material like I would have if it was a regular album. And 2, I wanted to challenge myself because I like the tightrope of being able to get it on with the crowd and see if I can make my raving sound like material. with jokes.
Yeah,
and
I remember the first time I
vocabulary,
went up cold, I was just too tired to put a set list together, and it was awesome. And I was like, I'm never putting a set list together again, and I'm not doing 2 shows a night anymore. I won't do it. All right, my friend, it's always wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Daily Beans. And,
Thanks, AG.
And I really appreciate you bringing laughter to the world. You're right. Joke is like a vacation, and we could all use a vacation. So thank you so much, Greg Proops. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back with the good news. Hey, everybody. It's time to tell you about my favorite subscription service ever. If you're standing in the wine aisle and you feel personally judged by the wall of bottles, you are not alone. Samesies for me. I stopped guessing and started using Naked Wines. Now, curated bottles from independent winemakers show up at my door. Better pairings, better conversations, zero aisle paralysis during holiday runs for me and my guests. Now, Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers, so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. So let's thank Naked Wines for supporting our show. Go to nakedwines.com/dailybeans and use our code DailyBeans for the code and the password, and you'll get an incredible deal, 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99. I was recently able to share with my friends a bottle of Dave Harvey Columbia Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. It's from 2023, and it was a hit. They said it was delicious, full-bodied. It was rich. It had vibrant cherry and blackberry flavors. It ended with a long, spiced finish. Perfect bottle of wine for the evening, and I've already got another one on the way. Naked Wines cuts out the middleman. It saves you up to 60% off store prices. Real winemakers, better prices, premium bottles. It makes hosting and gifting so much easier. Plus, I rate the wine I received after every shipment, so the boxes just keep getting better and better. So now's the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/dailybeans, click enter voucher, and put in my code DailyBeans for both the code and the password for 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. That is $100 off your first 6 bottles. That's nakedwines.com/dailybeans. Use the code and password DailyBeans for 6 bottles of wine for $39.99. You'll be glad you did. Everybody, welcome back. It's time for the good news.
Who likes good news, everyone? Then good news, everyone.
Hey, everybody, if you have any good news, no matter how small, no matter how big, no matter how recent, if it was last week or if it was 30 years ago, we would love to hear from you. You can also send shout outs to us. If you have a shout out to a loved one, a spouse, we'd love to hear that. A self shout out, toot your own horn. Let us know why you're awesome. We want to hear that too. We love those. Maybe you have a shout out to a small business in your area or a nonprofit or a food bank that could use a boost. Let us know about those. Maybe you have a shout out to a government program that's helped you or a loved one. We want to get all that on the record so that we have it for posterity. These are weird times, and I'm hoping historians can go back 50 years from now and listen to all of your good news stories about how government programs, they desperately tried to take away, but failed, I hope is what they say. How important they were and are to us. Also, if you have any street jokes you want to send us, confessions, corrections, especially pronunciation corrections, and you can send it all to us at dailybeanspod.com. Click on contact, and all you got to do to get your stuff right on the air is pay your pod pet tax, which means attach a photo of your pet. And if you don't have a pet, you can attach a photo of a random animal on the internet, or send us an adoptable pet in your area, or send us some bird watching photos, which can be a bird, or you and your family and friends flipping the bird to Trump properties. We love those. I have several in my phone. Dana, I know you've got a recent one from Chicago.
Yes, I
when
do.
You did your show. Because you sent it into the good news. That made my day. Any photo, really. Family photos, your garden, a happy place, a sunset, some favorite signs at a rally, some overpass signs that you've seen, whatever it is, send it to us at dailybeanspod.com. Click on contact. All right, first up is your good trouble. And your good trouble today comes from Heidi, pronouns she and her. Hello, fellow legumes, especially those in North Carolina. If you haven't heard, ICE has been making a big presence in our state. And I wanted to give you an excellent resource for connecting others in your area who are working to quickly mobilize our communities. Red Wine and Blue has a very active North Carolina community on their app. If you live in North Carolina and download and join the app, you'll be automatically added to the North Carolina community, which will show up at the top of your home screen. There are tons of resources being shared in the app from organizations already working with the immigrant communities, how to join ICE hotline rapid response teams, to Trouble Nation groups, 3D printing whistles, and handing them out to the most threatened by ICE. There's always a place for you in the resistance. As Pod Pet Tariff, a combination of what are you making and what the mutt. My daughter loves stagecraft and recently participated in the Never-Ending Story with our local community college. Here's one of the puppets she helped create. And the dog, his breed to the script is a, sorry?
100% good luck dragon.
Oh, the Falcor? Yeah.
Has to be.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. His breed, according to the script, is a blank, but we're pretty sure he's got some canine in him too. Perhaps the greyhound could tell us. I don't see the dog photo.
Oh, it's because they're making a joke about the stagecraft, that good luck dragon.
Oh.
Yeah. Falcor.
Luck dragon. Falcor.
Yep.
Okay, that's what's behind the redaction. I'm looking for the dog. Here I am looking for the, okay.
And that's why maybe there's canine in him, but we don't know.
Yes, that is 100% luck dragon. Very,
So
very
cute.
well done. I was fooled. Heidi, thank you.
So sweet. All right. This is from Janice Hope. No pronouns given. You mentioned government programs that have impacted our lives. We have 3 adopted children who all benefited from disability assistance with basic daily needs. They're adults now, and it's so obvious how much the early childhood education and all the supportive government programs, along with family and community involvement, have helped them shine. And we've got a couple dog photos from Janice. Oh, cute.
Look at this sweet baby. Oh, these are beautiful babies.
Love them.
Junior.
Love them.
Oh, so very great. Thank you so much for that, Janice. And yeah, it's pretty incredible how these government programs impact our lives and therefore the lives of people around us. Do you know what I mean? Like it comes back tenfold. All right. Next up from Michelle. Hi, I want to give you some good news. I can't think of anything better than this. It makes me smile broadly and laugh in a little Twitter every time I pick up my phone. Tell me I'm wrong. Her name is Chloe, and she's the only female of 3 that were found in a cardboard box under a car.
What is wrong with people?
Look at this angel and her little jammies.
The jammies are so cute.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you're right. This is fantastic and good news and a Pod Pet Tariff all at once, Michelle. Thank you so much for sending that in.
Well done.
I'll grab the next one too. That was pretty short. This is from Liz, pronouns she and her. Hi, AG and DG. Thank you so much for your podcast. And I'm enjoying the videos too. I want to give a shout out to Seattle Reconomy, which runs a couple of tool libraries in the Seattle area. I recently started volunteering with them, and it's an awesome organization. In addition to loaning out a variety of tools, including gardening tools, catering equipment, they're having a series of handmade for the holidays classes where participants can make gifts for loved ones instead of purchasing them. They are also participating in Circular Monday, which encourages buying used instead of new. They have many, many tools and supplies for sale in their Shoreline Tool Library. You can check them out at seattlereconomy.org. R-E, like economy, but with an R in the front of it. For my Pod Pet Tariff, I've included a sign that I made for No King's Day and a picture of my sweet chonky cat, Maisie. That's a great name for a chonky girl cat. Thank you again for your great work. There we go. Project 2025 is un-American. That's a fantastic sign. Oh, and look at this calico tabby.
Nice.
Very beautiful baby girl.
All right. This one, I'm just going to say it's from Anonymous because it says, prefer not to say. Hello, Beans Queens. I want to shout out to podcast Out and Into Open Arms, sponsored by NH Outright. Give it a listen. And if you think the stories might be helpful to someone else, please let people know about it. It is the stories of trans youth and their families. That is called Out and Into Open Arms.
I love it.
Yes.
I'm going to check that out for sure. Thank you so much.
Taxes paid with these lovely pups.
Look at these babies.
Cute.
So very adorable. Did they take up the whole couch all the time, Anonymous? Do you get a place to sit, or is that their couch? We had a giant dog and the love seat was just his. No one ever sat in it.
You want to close this out today?
Yeah, from Kathy, pronouns she and her, and Polly, pronouns she and her. There are a few of us at Homewood Friends, an historic Quaker meeting in Baltimore, Maryland, that have independently joined the Leguminati over the years. In fact, getting approval to submit this good news may have brought in a few more listeners to the Daily Beans.
Nice.
Quakers have a tradition going back centuries of causing good trouble. It's important to us to speak up and to live our values in our everyday lives. Homewood Friends has a number of trans and non-binary people who are integral members of our community. We support each other in life for the big moments as well as the day-to-day, and we're deeply concerned about the scapegoating, hate, and increasing threats to the trans and greater LGBTQ plus community in these absurdly awful times. Early in 2025, we realized that we had public minutes, official statements on many important issues, but nothing in support of trans rights. It's more important to walk the walk than just talk the talk, but it's even better to do both.
Nice.
After much Quaker process, if you know, you know, we recently approved the following minute. Several of our trans, non-binary, and LGBTQ plus friends were deeply involved in its creation. The minute was embraced by the whole Homewood Friends community. Because there's so much anti-trans hate out there, we wanted to share a strong and positive statement of support with your listeners on this week of Trans Remembrance.
This is really cool.
Yeah, and we're going to have an excerpt from the public minutes. A link to the full minutes will be in the show notes. It says, we recall the critical role that Quaker women took in discerning friends' paths from the early days throughout the present. We believe that trans and non-binary friends have a similar, unique, and important role to fill, though we may have been slower in finding it.
Oh.
In the atmosphere of the current U.S. administration, which is actively targeting and scapegoating trans and non-binary people, we take seriously our commitment to the trans and non-binary friends within our own meeting. We seek to offer support and counsel that may help these friends find their quiet internal peace of their true selves. In addition, we seek to provide support for medical transition and or surgery for those who need it. We are also committed to supporting young people and children as they come to understand their gender identity and helping them as they express it in the world. Our attached pod tariff is a photo of Kathy's rescue doodle with some signs for our candlelight vigil on Thursday night. We'll be in front of the meeting house on a major street in Baltimore, standing in memory of those lost to transphobia and anti-trans violence, followed by a simple potluck dinner. We'll be thinking of others and observing this solemn day in whatever way feels right to you.
Oh, this is a wonderful submission.
Oh, that's just lovely. And the whole unanimously accepted it the minute.
That's big.
And well, like I said, we have a link to that in the show notes. Look at this pupper. Trans Lives Matter. Wonderful.
I know.
Oh, everybody, thank you so much. I needed that on this Thursday, but it's actually Wednesday when we're recording this, but you know what I mean. Thank you so much for sending your good news. Please send it to us, dailybeanspod.com. Click on contact. And thanks to Greg Proops for brightening my day with his new album. It's called The Free State of California. You can get it at gregproops.com. And Dana, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
No, not today.
All right. Well, we'll be back in your ears for tomorrow. It's going to be Fuel Sang Fridays here on the Daily Beans, so I look forward to that. Until then, please, everybody, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, and take care of your family. I've been AG.
And I've been DG.
And them's the beans.
The Daily Beans is written and executive produced by Allison Gill with additional research and reporting by Dana Goldberg. Sound design and editing is by Desiree McFarlane, with art and web design by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios. Music for the Daily Beans is written and performed by They Might Be Giants, and the show is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, please visit mswmedia.com.
MSW Media.